Ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite time of the week. My name is Ashes, and I am here on opening break with my duo, the man, the myth, the legend. Let him know who you are.
Hey man, welcome back to the show, episode 3. With an intro like that, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling gassed up and ready to go. Lots of Halo action, lots of Halo news to talk about. Nick, I'm excited to dive in, man.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today. First off, we always start with something non-Halo related. I'm going to start off with how I am over here spamming you with messages in Discord while we're in the intro countdown timer. Like, yo, unmute. We can keep talking. Unmute. Let's chat. And you are just ghosting me. And I still come out here and give you an intro like that. So you're on my watch list. Okay.
Wow. I totally forgot about that. Like, I'm muted in Discord for you guys watching at home, but not muted on the show. So we were just sitting there in silence as it was like counting down.
Crazy.
Could have been hanging out, but I guess I'm just a really fake friend. But
Okay.
you know, you do a lot of fun things outside of being involved in just the Halo. For folks that don't know, that don't follow you on Instagram, I see some stuff about what is this, like cards or something? You're like, what are you doing over there?
I mean, like, I'm into Pokemon a little bit. If you haven't noticed in the background, today's a little bit different. I've got the lights. You can't really tell, but it's the Halo logo. I got to be on theme with the show. But typically, you got the Pokeballs, the Great Balls, the Master Balls scrolling across. I'm a Poke nerd. But yeah, we do a lot of stuff. My wife and I, it's a really fun hobby that we get to share with each other and enjoy. So how about you? What are you into outside of the Halo world?
I mean, lately, just being a dad, I got three little dudes that are just absolutely going nuts. So you know, being a dad's a full-time job and some. But yeah, still involved in the music side as well. Getting ready to drop some new tracks for a couple different projects actually. So like my own band, we're gonna drop some music. Some other bands I've been writing for, we're gonna drop some music. So you'll be hearing from me on that front pretty soon. I'm excited to get back in the mix, maybe do a little touring this year, you know, maybe get back on the road a little bit, come see you. You know, we were just talking earlier about how it's like, man, we live so far apart, bro. It's like I gotta find excuses to come hang with you guys.
Literally, yeah. You, like, if you ever tour in Dallas, you need to stay here for like an extra day or two so we can just chill. We got a guest bedroom, bro. You're always welcome. Halo. We got a lot to talk about though. HCS Arlington Major Qualifier took place last weekend. We've got the results, some of which I'm not too thrilled about. Others very exciting to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and show the kind of upper finished bracket and the lower finished bracket so we can show everyone what we're talking about here. And go ahead and start.
Before we even do that, before we even get to NA, I do want to show a little love to the other regions really fast on their champs, because you know, a lot of times they kind of fly under the radar. There was actually a little bit of a discourse on Twitter this week about that. I don't know if you saw any of that stuff, Nick, with the
I did not, the
LVT and Espanol stuff. But anyways, I wanted to give a shout out to Ether Gaming, who has basically dominated the LATAM region, clean sweep every single open qualifier. That's Acid, Drift, Lure, and Tapping Buttons. And this is a team that we're familiar with. We've played against them quite a bit, scrimmed against them. So congratulations to them. They'll be representing the MX region in Arlington. And man, I want to see these guys break through, right? I talk about it all the time. Like, the potential is there. It's really cool for me to see Tapping, you know, rocking with his crew, right? You know, for a long time he was so far ahead on the talent side that he came to NA and was like competing with NA teams and doing all that to kind of blaze his trail, you know, similarly like Barcode or something. But to see the rest of the region catch up and like be able to field talent on this level to where he's like, I don't even need to travel across the continent anymore to find the talent I'm going to compete with. I got it right here at home. You know, that's got to be like special for him to kind of have that sort of camaraderie.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, doesn't have to worry about any kind of language barrier. He gets to be more comfortable with his team. I'm sure he's played against or with these guys, you know, for years at this point. And really, like, they are a top team by all means. I think one of the really great things about them is they are always ready to play. Like, I was just joking about with Thug Nasty, who's actually in the chat. Like, they're that team that, like, if you have a last minute cancellation or you need a scrim, like you realize you didn't book a day, if you hit them up, they're always down. They're always ready. Like, hey, you guys available? Yes. What time? Every single time. And there's another LATAM team that's the same way with like Lior and those guys. So it's just like a tremendous work ethic for them that I think really pays off. And you can see it because they're dominating their region every single week.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always been a little bit of a two-edged sword for them because it's hard to get on the level when you're not practicing against the level, right? So they're like eager, they're like chomping at the bit, like any chance they get to scrim like a top NA team, they're gonna go after, because you got to imagine, like, with how they've been, like, no shade against their region, but with how they've been dominating the region, it's like there's only so much improvement, like, or how fast you can improve based on the level of talent and competition you're practicing and scrimming against. So these guys are always down literally to like just jump in the mix and pick up a scrim. So I just wanted to give them a shout out for their win in the MX region. Can't wait to see them represent. And then also on the EU side, Nemesis, right? Dominant performance by them. Wootum. I mean, this team, when I look at it, it's like a god squad, dude. Glory and Wootum, insane young talent. Snipe Drone, who's just been at it for as long as I can remember and always plays at an extremely high level in SLG. It's just well put together roster. And when you look at the breakdown of that region, yeah, they pretty much dominated as well over there. I do believe that second place team would also be qualifying though, right? Which is Jimbo, Mighty, Sika, and Tachik. So shout out to them as well. Pipa, that's what they went by in the open. But between these two teams, Nick, let's be honest with me. Like, is there, actually with all three, we'll throw the LATAM team in there as well. Okay. Do you see breakout potential for any of these rosters?
I definitely do for the Nemesis roster. That's like the Wootum roster, and that they'll always be the Wootum roster to me. That team is a team that I could see if they spend an extended amount of time in North America, I could see them causing upsets in our tournaments. Like, they seem to have their stuff together when I watch them play. They're well-rounded in terms of their slaying prowess, their experience, their ability to do things on the map that a lot of other teams can't. Wootum is definitely an all-star. Like, he's somebody who had a lot of eyes on him, being a mouse and keyboard kid coming from Splitgate. Like a Splitgate world champion coming to Halo, and he has stepped up to that. So I definitely think that that's a team that, if I've said it before too, like, if they were able to just be in this region in North America and get like that level of practice and not just playing the one other good team they have in their region over and over again, I think that would level them up. And actually, funny that you mentioned that, their coach reached out to me this last week to schedule some scrims before Arlington, because they're going to be boot camping in Texas before the major, which is great
for them.
That's a team, I'm excited to scrim them and see like how we stack up, because obviously we don't get to play them that often online. We don't want to deal with like the connection stuff, and online Halo is online Halo. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity for us to see really where they're at, and also exciting opportunity for them to get out of their region, get some really good last minute practice, get a good boot camp in, get that chemistry in person together with this squad that is, some of them have teamed together before, but it's a relatively new squad coming together. It's kind of the best of two different teams from last season. I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. It also speaks to the confidence they have in their team that they would be willing to put together boot camp. That's not cheap, right? To fly out early, to have to front the bill on the B&Bs and everything else, and take care, basically provide for your players for an extra week or 2 weeks. That speaks to the fact that they think they might actually have something here where it's like worth investing that little bit extra into it to see if they can kind of maximize the potential. I would also agree. I think for me, Nemesis is that team I look at like, yeah, they can do damage. And I'm still rooting for Ether Gaming, like I said. But yeah, I wanted to jump in and make sure to show some love to the other regions, because they are also locked in for pools and stuff too. So I wanted to make sure that we showed them some love. But yeah, let's hop on over to NA and let's get started in this last weekend's action.
Yeah, we can start with the bracket. Just kind of talk about like the results of the bracket, and of course, as always, got to show our pretty faces too. So we've got the results of the upper bracket and the lower bracket here in this nice, pretty little image, courtesy of HCS, their Twitter account. Follow them if you don't already. But anything really standing out to you in what you see right here, other than the fact that complexity is missing in this upper bracket?
I mean, we're not even going to talk about that. FaZe, hello?
Yeah. We have not talked about them like at all, nearly enough, and here they are.
We've shown them some. Let's not like we haven't shown them any love. Like, we've talked about them a little bit, but yeah, definitely not like at the same amount as maybe your Shopify or your Optic, your SSG. But FaZe came out and like I said before, heading in, I think it might have been episode 1. I was talking about whether or not FaZe would rise up and kind of swing the door shut on the top 4. You know what I mean? Like, would they be that distinguished 4th best team where it's like, okay, we have our front runners? And from the online qualifiers, I think we have to say, yeah, right. I think they got top 4 every single one. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to go back and look again.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I want to say at least 3 out of 4. They were,
something like that.
Were top 4. You know what I mean? So a really great showing for me. That Optic series, man, was insane. I went back and watched I watched most of the big matches yesterday because I was away on Sunday. And yeah, I mean, we don't talk about it enough on this FaZe Clan roster. To me, we're seeing a comfortable Trippy. Like I mention all the time, pre-Infinite, pre-Optic, pre all that, like Trippy was the main slayer. I don't care what anybody says. Like that kid could go on a map and be just disruptive as all hell, but he kind of is the selfless one to adjust his game depending on what his team calls for. And just watching the way he's playing on FaZe, like he's kind of got that swagger back in his game where it's like, man, he's confident on the map. He's dominating his lanes. He's taking his ones. He's grabbing snipes. You know what I mean? He's going big positive in these games. And it's like, I love to see that for him because for the longest time, people are always like, oh, like Lucid and Trippy, drop Trippy, keep Lucid. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like he's the glue, you know? So really, really great showing from him.
Yeah, I think there might be even a factor too of like, do you think he was living a little bit too much in Lucid's shadow? Like Lucid was definitely getting all the love. Formal was getting all the love. There wasn't a lot thrown Trippy's way unless he had, you know, one of his pop-off maps. And I wonder if that affected a little bit. And now we see him get to kind of come out from the shadow, be himself, have fun, not need to be that support player or that assisting role. He can be the main character.
And even from like an optics standpoint, optics standpoint, he's the superstar on the team now. You know what I mean? Like the rest of the guys are unbelievable talents, unbelievable grinders, but they're not really the household names. I mean, Penguin obviously is in that mix with him, but he's kind of, like you said, he's way more in that spotlight position. And I'm just watching the way they're playing. Like I'm watching Falcated and Suppressed, and you know, Falcated is a talent. I always say like people have underestimated him his entire career, you know. So it's cool to see them in a scenario where it's like the pressure is different, right? Let's be honest. Like the pressure for them is a lot different than like these optics who have like made team changes that are like win or everything is a failure type scenarios. I don't think a lot of people were expecting anything from this FaZe roster, especially from the casual standpoint. You know, people that know. But to see them kind of step up, and especially this weekend to be like, hey, there's another team on the block that can take a series off Optic. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, they look good. They beat Optic. They beat who else? Luminosity 3-0. They almost beat Optic again. It's a team that can definitely bang with the best of them. They got 3-0'd by Shopify, but I remember that series, even like I think map 1 or map 2 being a little bit close. Mm-hmm. So they're definitely another contender. And I think one of the things that they have going for them is it's obviously a team that's well-versed in being on land, being there on Sunday. Trippy and Dead Zone obviously being able to do it all of last season. So there's definitely some merit to that. And I think Falcated and Suppressed, I mean, they're kind of like the young stars on that team, even though they've been around for a while. They're always going to be putting out damage. Like you watch, Sentinels last season, you watch Shopify last season, they're always there. They're always putting up numbers. So I think that is a really well-rounded roster. That was a tongue twister a little bit. That hasn't gotten, I guess, the exposure in these opens that you would think, because everyone's so busy, us included, talking about Optic and Shopify. Like they're the headlines, but FaZe is there, man. FaZe is there. And they get to be called FaZe now, which, there's a little, when you get your org announced, there's a little bit of a honeymoon phase with that too. So
there is, but how many times have we seen a team like freshly signed just fall flat on their face immediately? Like take a second to kind of get rolling. You know what I mean? Like, with the exception of this Luminosity roster, I mean, they got to be feeling really good with their signing. This team is put in work. Dude, they got top 6 again. Now this weekend they've got a top 6 seed heading into the pools. It's a team that's pretty much, I would say, all new talent. You know, it's all new kids on the block that have just been playing out of their minds, that have been on fire, that have that belief in themselves. And so I'm really looking forward to watching them play. What else stood out to you on this bracket off of rip, Nick?
I mean, again, ignoring the elephant in the room of complexity is only shown once, and that's
Should
losing
we
3-1.
should we talk about that? Should we address the elephant so we can move past it, or
I mean, we can, yeah. It's one of those where it's like, okay, look, we had a really bad showing week 1 and week 2, HCS Open 1, HCS Open 2. HCS Open 3, we kind of found our groove and we started actually prioritizing the things that we needed to prioritize, and we saw what can come of that when we do it. Last weekend, that slipped up again. And, you know, we had a team meeting today before, I think they're scrimming Shopify right now. We had a team meeting before that scrim to really kind of dig deep into that and talk about, like, you know, what caused that regression, what caused us to take a step back after taking so many steps forward. And I think we got, you know, into a good place. I think everybody is aligned. I think that the conversation was needed and very transparent and very good and healthy, which, you know, a lot of teams will struggle to have those kind of difficult talks. But I am proud of these guys because it's showing that what I had wanted to build with the chemistry being key outside of the game, it's paying off in those difficult conversations so that the progression can keep moving forward and not just go, okay, well, we're past roster lock, let's just wing it until we get through the event and then we'll figure out what we want to do from there. That, I think, is too often the case in esports. I think people either make roster changes and, like you said last week, I believe, rely on that honeymoon phase of success and keep chasing that little dopamine rush, or they just try to take this easy path out. I don't know what it is. It's a weird phenomenon. And I think our team being able to work through these issues together, even with disappointing results online that would put tension on any team, we're still a brotherhood. We're still, you know, texting each other every day. The bond is still there. And I think that's important for the overall growth of the team. And I'm excited to see what we accomplish in Arlington.
Yeah, definitely a rough go of things. When I was watching back the matches, it almost felt like we were like tripping over ourselves, like weird, like we get first 2 kills, and then when we call the push, we somehow let the other 2 guys kill all of us. Like we're just being sloppy and, like, you know what I mean? Like little micro mistakes, but like across the board, just kind of causing everything to collapse in that way. I will say I like the way our pool looks. Just saying.
Yeah, I did make that. I did make that joke internally, like, and, you know, again, no disrespect or anything to LG or to SSG, but if I could handpick the teams that I want to play against, it would probably be LG and SSG for pool play. I mean, obviously, like, you know, our whole team has the mentality of you have to beat everyone to win the event, and that's our goal. But if you want a you know, not have to jump into the deep end right away, play against the reigning champ Shopify, then getting the team that has been struggling to be consistent in SSG and the team that you know you can beat in LG, which, again, LG has beaten us before twice. So, you know, there's obviously, like, we can trade blows with each other, but I'm confident in our ability to pull up against that team because I think that team lights a fire under us for some reason. There's a little bit of a rivalry there. So yeah, I really like how our pool turned out. And we'll talk about the pools obviously overall in a little bit. The other thing I want to talk about is, you had mentioned last week TSM falling short, being disappointing. This week they smoked us and they smoked Cloud9 3-0. They fell short against Optic, but this is the TSM you were hoping for, right?
Absolutely. And it was, you know, I kind of felt guilty about it. I was like, dang, I think I might have, this might have been a me thing. But no, I mean, they just show up and showed out when it mattered. When the pool position was on the line, they come out and have their best performance in an open. So shout out to them for that. Shout out to Trey for having the troops in order. Talik was playing just about perfect Halo. Like, I watch him play and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't really change any of the decisions he makes in game. It's just beautiful to watch. And the rest of the guys were hitting their shots. I think with TSM, A lot, with the way they're put together, a lot of it comes down to how hot those players are on the day.
Yeah.
Are they hitting those no scopes? Are they making those plays? Are they buying their way through situations that they should lose because of their talent? And the talent was clicking for them on Sunday. They finished out with the top 6.
Yeah, they looked good. I mean, even against us, right? Like, I'll speak to that because it was more firsthand. They looked like they knew what they wanted to do. And I think that their pace was amped up a level or two from the last time we played them. And that's kind of what that team needs. Obviously, it's a really high risk, high reward play style. And we weren't able to make it, a detrimental risk. So props to them for being able to stay on top of that play style and really carry it through the whole series. I think they played really well. And I think it just throws another name into the hat of like this conversation of between, top 4 to top 12. There, and even you start looping in, FaZe, you start looping in SSG, who are a little bit less consistent, but still kind of consistent. It's anybody can beat anybody, which is I think what makes this season so exciting, and especially this first major.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I mean, you talked about it earlier. You said Shopify are the reigning champs right now, and it set my mind spinning. Which also, by the way, I meant to tell you earlier. Pretty convenient of you to somehow always sneak away to be on the podcast when your guys are scrimming Shopify. You're
that's
able to
crazy.
get out of the,
How does
you just hop off the pain train, every time, right when it's at its worst. You know what I mean? So,
hey, to be fair, I was there for the first few maps, and let's see, we lost the first map, kind of like 2-1 in the first oddball, and then we won the CTF Aqua. So like I left on a winning note. I'm just saying. So
we were winning every other game when I left. This series should be 6-6 when I come back.
Yeah, exactly. See, you get what I'm putting down. But yeah, bracket's interesting. The only team we have, there's 2 teams that we haven't mentioned that I do want to give a little shout out to.
Yes.
One is Eclipse.
Yes.
This is, I think, the first time we're seeing them kind of break into this top 12, I think, on this lower bracket. So
they beat Ascending Baseline to get there too.
Yeah, which that was a team we spent some time talking about last week.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and that we talked about both of these teams, but that Eclipse roster, we had mentioned that we felt they were underperforming compared to where we were expecting to be seeing them in the opens.
Yeah.
And then immediately, once again, with the biggest point draw on the line for the pools and seeding, they come out and have a great showing, a top 12. And so, GG's to them. They lost to a Cloud9 team that was looking insanely hot, and then ran to the TSM buzzsaw. But yeah, I know we were going to talk about Eclipse for sure, and obviously we got to talk about Triggers Down.
Yeah, Triggers Down. They beat us. They looked good on Sunday morning, 3-1 over us. I think they're starting to find their groove again, which is good to see. They were for a little while, I think, doing that honeymoon phase thing, and then they kind of fell off. And I think that's that point where it's really dangerous for a team like them because there's so much talent. And I imagine probably some different perspectives on how they want to play the game, because you have someone who's so experienced like Lethal. You have somebody who's been on so many different teams and had to adapt to so many play styles like Collect. You have Ezo, who's this young gunning up and comer. You have Descendant, who's obviously been with us for a really long time. He's been on Shopify for a really long time, and he is so able to pop off, but also so able to be like, Descendant, what are you doing?
Dude, the ceiling and floor on this team is crazy. I could wake up one day and they just have the best Sunday of their lives and they get top 4 on LAN, or I could see them getting like top 16 or top 12. You know what I mean? It's a crazy amount of fluctuation. But I think it's more of the play styles. Like in my mind, I wonder like how do you work Descendant and Collect into a team, because in my mind they play so similar. In that like they both kind of go rogue and try to make things happen on the map. So it's like, can you afford to have that happening with half your team as opposed to just like one player playing disrupt? You know what I mean? So I can see why some weeks they pop off and get top 8 or top 6, and some weeks they get top 12.
Yeah, I think realistically for players like, I think Ezo is going to have a similar play style, right? Like he's definitely going to be trying to make plays, and when I see them, playing us or playing other teams, he's definitely like in the mix, right? He's right there behind Jason, or even in front, because Jason's often sniping, which he is probably one of the best snipers right now, I would say, in this at least in this bracket.
Yeah.
And Collect's up there too, man. Like, they're dangerous with long range weapons. It's scary. But
Yeah.
the team reminds me a lot of Sentinels last season, right? Like, you won't be surprised if they break into the top 6. You won't be surprised if they take maps off Space Station or beat Space Station in a series. You also won't be surprised if it's like, oh, they got top 12. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it could go either way. And I think you put it best. Like, they have a really low floor and a really high ceiling, so it's just kind of where they land on any given day.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to Triggers Down for that. Also, once again, in the top 12, we saw Reversal Perfy. That's Ryan and friends. Unfortunately, they got bounced out in the first round by TSM, who was obviously on a mission in that given Sunday. But shout out to Ryan, who, I mean, kind of able to put together a squad that he's confident in. I never will count out a Ryan Noob team. I feel like he's the number one player in Halo history of like doing a lot with a little when it comes to like it doesn't line up a lot of the times, you know what I mean? So happy to see them in the top 12 as well. But yeah, I felt like this weekend kind of solidified a bit of what that top 8, that top 12 looked like, and for a couple teams, sending baseline, obviously, Sniping Lives, which was Gunny's team, a couple of those teams took steps back, which is unfortunate, but these are those moments that separate the ones who are truly built different, right? When it's a tournament for a seed, a tournament for how potentially what your Arlington major is going to look like came down to the way this online tournament played out, and the bad boys showed up and showed out.
Yeah, they definitely did. I'm glad you gave a little bit of acknowledgement to the Reversal Perfy team. This bracket was also weird too. So I don't want to say this as like an excuse for anything on Saturday, but the whole day, like, when the bracket gets launched at 11 a.m. Central, you can kind of tell like, okay, we're going to play this team, this team, this team. And then like the matches are going to level up a little bit, and we're going to play this team and then this team to make it to the next day. And so like we were going into this day with this mindset of like, all right, we're going to have to play Ryan's team, and then we're going to have to play Shopify. Yeah, Shopify. We're going to have to play Ryan's team. We're going to play Shopify. And that's what the bracket showed. And we were like confused because we were waiting for our matchup against Reversal Perfy, and we could see Ryan was in a lobby, and like that team, like Ryan, Breaking Shot, Common, they were in a lobby with like players we didn't like. It didn't make sense for them to be playing. Those kids weren't in the bracket. We're like, oh, they're scrimming or something, waiting for a dispute to get resolved or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, we're in a lobby with TSM, and it's like,
oh my gosh,
what happened here? And I guess I don't know if they just like messed up the seeding, because I know those two teams were tied going into this weekend.
Gotcha. So it could have like flipped either way.
But like,
I think I saw it on LVT too. They were saying if you're looking at the bracket, wherever you see TSM, just pretend like it's Reversal Perfy or something like along those lines. You know what I mean? Like they were just like it was swapped.
That's so odd though. Like I don't like, again, no excuse. Like that's not at all what I'm saying here. Like, oh, we were prepared for Reversal Perfy and then it was TSM. Like that's not at all why we lost. It's just it's a weird thing to see happen. Like you think they could just like, okay, reset the bracket real quick. And like, especially when they noticed it right away, clearly, because those teams were playing each other's sides of the bracket. But I don't know. Regardless, this tournament led us into the announcement of the official HCS Arlington pools. I'm going to show them on screen, and I want you to give me initial thoughts, like just the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
100%.
And I have to redo this. Screen share. We'll go with this one. Share. Okay. Initial thoughts, go.
That pool A is kind of wild. Okay, so my first thoughts when I see it off rip, pool A, a lot of talent in there. I'm really happy with the pool we're in, which I mentioned earlier. I really feel like we got the best draw. I don't know, like call it my bias or whatever, but I really do think that we got the best draw out there. When you look at the pools, pool A, like who's getting second in that pool? You know what I mean? I don't know who's getting second.
Yeah.
Pool B, who's getting second in that pool? You know what I mean? I don't know. Pool C, I think it's gonna be TSM. Safe to say that. But Pool D, I'm like, I think we either win that pool or we get second. Like, I don't see there being any other outcome other than us getting first or second in that pool, which it sounds crazy, but we've won a pool before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I really like our draw. I'm really interested to see how some of these matches play out. TSM phase, that's gonna be sick. That's gonna be a good one.
So to be clear to everybody in chat, we're not going to do predictions right now. We're going to save those for like the week before Arlington. But I do think we can talk about some of these matchups. One of the ones that stands out to me that I'm really excited about is Nemesis versus Optic, because it's the kings of EU versus, the pseudo kings of NA. They're not really winning like kings, but they want to be kings. That's one that I could see going either direction, especially if Wootum and Co. bring the heat like they've been bringing to their region.
I think you're giving them too much props. I think Optic crushes them.
Really?
I think it's not close.
Really? Okay.
I think because
I'm gonna counter that. Let me counter that. Let me counter that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sitting up now. I'm ready for the debate. Here's why. Right? You take Optic Gaming, who, keep in mind, last season we beat Optic Gaming 3-0 with I think it was Ryan, Huss, Rain, Breaking Shot, right? So I would say you take this Nemesis, which, again, Ryan and Breaking Shot are in this pool too. They've already done this. So they're probably coming in as like, oh yeah, we've done this before. And now we've got Common and King Nick. Like, yeah, we can do this again. But you've got Bound and Legend, who Space Station, great team last season, obviously. The best team in HCS last season, obviously. Still don't know why they split up, obviously. That roster wasn't the greatest until Sunday. Right? We saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, Cloud9 choked. Like, Cloud9 should have eliminated them in Salt Lake City. So you've got half of a team that will show up hard on Sunday, but they got to get there. You've got a team, or you've got Formal, who, I mean, he loses pool play. Like, we've seen it. And Renegade, which, FaZe was pretty consistent in pool play last season. I'll give him that. But I don't know, man. I
don't see Renegade losing to someone called Wootum, bro.
That's crazy.
The
disrespect is crazy.
I'm just saying, for me, I look at Renegade, I look at Formal. They are both pissed off because they've been used to winning and they weren't winning. And this is going to be like one of their first, if not their first match of the weekend. You have Legend, who's like playing against his former, not his countryman, obviously he's French, but playing against, folks from his region, which is a whole different type of like deal. Obviously he's proven himself to be the best talent to ever come out of there, hence the position he's in. And you have Bound. And I think it actually factors into a question I was going to ask you regardless, because earlier you mentioned Shopify as the current reigning champs, which that's fine. I get it with the online stuff. But like going into Arlington, like the actual event, when we walk into the doors of that land, like who's the reigning champ? Is it Space Station, who has one half of the world championship roster, and and Eco and Stellar, and the org that got the trophy? Or is it Optic, who's Bound and Legend, debatably the superstar talent, the engine behind that team? So I feel like a lot of these first matchups, like Space Station's first match or Optic's first match versus Nemesis, it's like them trying to get the engine going of like, no, like we're the top dogs. Like we won that world championship, and Space Station similarly in their first match, they're going to be trying to dominate as well and be like, no, like we have the trophies at Space Station Studios in Utah. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So I think that there's going to be a little bit of that going on with like some of these first matchups, like these teams trying to look unbelievable to be like, no, we won that. You know what I mean? Like we came out ahead of that. Optic, I mean, they need to win bad, Nick. I mean, have you seen what's going on in Call of Duty? Like
they're down bad. They're struggling.
So I don't
struggling in COD.
Like I love Nemesis. Yeah, I could see Nemesis getting top 6 or you know what I mean? Like, but I don't see the first matchup against Optic being a pretty one. It's going to be like a statement match for Optic basically in their hometown. It's not going to be pretty.
I think it depends on when their match is. I'll concede that it could go either way. I think it depends on when their match is. If it's first game of the day, like first game on main stage, first game of the tournament, like that kind of thing, they're trying to get the EU crowd tuning in. They're trying to get the Optic crowd hype and in there early on Friday. I can see that going to Optic.
Bro, they're gonna have Hitch out there banging on drums and stuff, dude, and like it's gonna be a whole thing. It's gonna be crazy.
That being said, if it's later in the day, like they've both gotten their match under Reversal Perfy underway or done with, they both, like, let's just say in this world, they're both 1-0. This is to decide who's going into tomorrow feeling real good. I might have to go with Nemesis. I'm a little bit biased. I'm a Wutum fan, but I might have to go with Nemesis, man.
All you arm aimers, bro. You aim with your arm and forgot to use your brain, bro. I got it. It's fine.
Well,
who we can, bro? Reversal Perfy's winning this pool, man. They're going 3-0 and they're beating everybody.
That's the other factor too. Like, you cannot count out Reversal Perfy. Like, you cannot, as somebody says it in I think like the LVT Halo Twitch chat all the time, and I don't know if it's like a copy pasta meme kind of thing, but like, you really can't count out a Ryan Noob team ever, no matter who he's teaming with. And this team is actually a really solid team. Like, Breaking Shot, clearly a really talented player. King Nick, clearly can still shoot with the best of them. Common, been around forever, has placed top 6 at Worlds in Season 1, has done great things with a lot of different teams. Clearly, he's still a problem. And then Ryan, like, this is a team that cannot be slept on. And if either Optic or Nemesis sleeps on that team or are not up to par going into their pool, that's a series that, like, they could be down 2-0 going, oh, what happened?
I think the Reversal Perfy Nemesis series is going to be better than the Nemesis Optic series.
Really?
Yeah. I think that one goes to game 5. And then who knows what happens at that point.
Interesting.
But we'll see. We'll get to find out who's right here in a couple of weeks. So
that's true. You mentioned FaZe TSM, right?
Yes, sir.
So what's got you excited about that match? You think TSM stacks up well against FaZe?
I think TSM are going to be so excited to play against a FaZe roster that doesn't have Renegade. That's my logic behind the entire prediction. Okay. They're going to be like, who's this red team? There's no Renegade. We get to do whatever we want on the map. I think, no, in all seriousness, this FaZe clan team, as it stands, this might sound ridiculous. You can hang me, but I think FaZe is the 3rd best team right now.
Fair.
I think they look strong. I think they look, they don't have a weak spot when it comes to the talent at all. Like, there's nobody pulling up the rear on anything. They're also motivated because they all feel like the leftovers. And I think Trippy and Penguin are going to get an opportunity to shine in a way they weren't able to before, with the supporting cast of Falcons. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, FaZe, I see a lot of like, I don't want to say slower, but like, you watch like Suppressor Falcated play, like they don't play on a super high crack sense. They're kind of just turrets on the map. There's just damage everywhere. So like, if I'm Trippy, if I'm Penguin, and I'm able to, any lane I go, there's gonna be someone weak, or the map is just a lot softer with the level of gun talent they have. So I think that'll be a match to watch. It'll probably be a 3-1 FaZe, I would say, but it wouldn't shock me if TSM come out and do the thing. The thing with TSM, bro, is like, they're missing last shot, bro. Like last shot was so good that he made Cherish look like a superstar. In that, last shot was taking up so much attention on the map that Cherish was able to just like literally walk around and clean it. Like, some of Cherish's stats in Worlds are crazy if you look at them. And then you watch the matches and it's like, oh, he has a million lanes to choose from because last shot's causing so much havoc everywhere that he goes on the map. So I think that, like, not only is it detrimental to not have last shot for obvious reasons, but it also affects the rest of the team in ways that I think they're having to like figure out and overcome, which is why we saw them kind of have a slower start. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I said that in our first episode, like, it was team last shot and crew, right? Like, I think I said it a little bit meaner. I think I said they rode in last shot's backpack, but I think with the team they have right now, there is a lot of hit or miss. With last shot, there is a whole lot of consistency in him specifically, because he's always going to put up numbers. He's always going to deal a ton of damage. He's always going to perform really well time and time again, LAN or online. It doesn't matter. He's always doing his thing. And we've seen that. With this team, it's like, okay, one game Druck might pop off. one game Talik might pop, one series Talik might pop off, one series Souls Knight might pop off, and Cherish can really play well when his teammates are popping off, and then he looks like he's popping off, right? But it's really hard to rely on that kind of streakiness. You can't just bank on like, okay, this guy's gonna pop off hopefully this series, and then I'll be able to feed off that, and I'm gonna match that level and pop off too. Like last year it worked because Last Shot always popped off. I think just even going as far back to Native Red, right? Like they got top 3 at Worlds Season 1, but like there was also events where they were what, top 8, top 12.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's going to be the same issue here unless those players can develop some sort of consistency with either their team play or with like individual flow. The other cool thing about that matchup, though, that you did not mention is I could see it being a little bit of a grudge match. You've got Soul Snipe on one
100%.
squad, you've got Suppressed on another squad. That's like a season 2 duo, right? Like they were boys and they got split up. I'm going to guess because Donnie probably, or Suppressed probably got this invitation to come to the potential FaZe roster, and there wasn't a spot for Soul Snipe there. So does he have a chip on his shoulder? I mean, he obviously ended up with his boys, but you know, I'm sure they're both like hopeful to prove like, hey, I made the right decision, or you messed up. You shouldn't have left me behind. You know, we had something good at Shopify and you threw it away. Screw you.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong at all, honestly. Sometimes those storylines, it could be like the difference maker in a series because someone's coming in with just a little bit of an extra chip there.
Yeah.
I do need you to answer my question though, to backpedal for a second. Who's the reigning champs right now?
I think because of the roster mania, there are no reigning champs from last season. That's the way I would put it. Like the teams that did well last season don't exist. So like you can't
so no
call
one's
yourself
defending the Land Crown event 1.
No, like if we're going back to like old school, like 2010 GB days where you had the little golden crown on the team ladder and like it was different than the actual playoffs and stuff like that. Like nobody's got the crown right now because that team disbanded, right? Like that crown's up for grabs again.
I don't know, man. I think you're tripping. I think it's Space Station.
I mean, if anything, you got to give it to Optic because
what?
No, hear me out. Because Legend was MVP, right?
Yeah, but Optic lost. Optic as a brand lost. They took they lost to Space Station.
Yeah, well, arguably Space Station lost 2 of their best players.
Yeah, but there's been no LAN yet to determine that. Like that's like,
what I'm saying.
That's like hearsay. That's like they lost their 2 best players. Did they? We don't know yet.
Potentially. That's what I'm saying. Like it's up in the air right now. Like if this was WWE, the belt has been vacated. Right?
Oh my God.
Like it is up for grabs, and we're gonna have a Royal Rumble cage match style showdown at WrestleMania, HCS Arlington, to see who gets to claim that belt. But
I want
until
to know
then,
what the chat thinks. Chat, is it vacated? Is the belt up for grabs? Does Optic currently have the belt, or does Space Station have it? Let us know in the chat. I'm interested to know what you guys think. But I did want to use that as a segue though to talk about Space Station because we haven't yet from last weekend. And man,
they showed up.
That Optic series,
they showed up.
That was something, dude. I'm just saying, like, man, you can so easily be like, so I was talking to my chat about this. We were watching it together.
Okay.
And we watched, we're watching that series. Space Station comes out. They 3-0 them in game 1 on Forbidden CTF. Look absolutely insane. Like perfect map presence, perfect efficiency, playing up to par. Game 2, Slayer Aqua. They're up by like 16 kills or something, and they end up losing that game, right?
Yeah.
So
Choke.
when I was talking to chat, I was like, you can look at it exactly like Nick just did and be like, dang, choked, right? And you can like point the finger at them and like roast them for it. And like, I would say like you would be justified in that as well. But the way I look at it is like, bro, they built a 16 kill lead on Optic. Like that's the potential that's there. Like, yeah, they lost that game, but now they've displayed like we have the potential to like just about damn near be staking Optic after just having 3-0'd them in game 1. I mean, do you know how different that series is? If they 3-0 them game 1 and game 2, they end up like playing it out the right way and not doing whatever they did the whole second half of that game, and they come out with like a 50-35 or something. Like,
yeah,
that's a different series.
That's a different. Well, I mean, we have a different tournament at that point. I think. Let me find the right way to put this. Screw it. I'll just be blunt. There is Space Station has, like, with the players on that roster, the caliber of players that they are, the tenure that they all have, they have no business choking a Slayer like that. And I'm calling it a choke. Yes, Optic did things correctly to make that comeback of 16 kills and regain the lead and win the game. But the good things they did only work if SSG does things poorly. And SSG did things poorly. And there, like I said, there's just too much success. There's too much experience. There's too much knowledge on that team to do that poorly of holding a 16 kill lead in a Slayer. It's just unacceptable. Like, it's genuinely unacceptable that they should have forfeited the series right there. Like,
I've just never seen a team take their foot off the gas like that in game. Like, insane. I feel like there was no gas pedal the entire rest of the game. Like, it was like, let's just sit around and wait for them to kill us. That's what it felt like watching it. I was like, is anybody going to make a move anywhere to do anything? You know what I mean?
I think what happens is teams get that lead and then they go, okay, we got to play not to lose this lead. And as soon as you switch your mindset of, like, we're playing to win this crap to we're playing not to lose, you're done.
100%.
You're done. You can't play not to lose. That's how you lose. You can't play conservative and scared to make plays. I think, you know, it's been said a million times, but chances make champions, right? Like, you're up 16 kills, bro. Fly at them 1v2 and get a kill in a melee.
Get
like,
a trade every
have
time.
Fun with it. Like, you're dominating these guys. You 3-0'd them the first map. Like, run with that momentum. Don't be afraid. But
I mean, that's your opportunity to win that series.
Yeah.
Like, literally. In that, like, you're in game 2 and you have a chance to win that series against Optic. Like, granted, I know it's not that, I'm oversimplifying, but you know what I mean. Like, you have your opportunity to put a chokehold on that series in a game number 2 that you're dominating in. Like, you got to capitalize. You know what I mean?
And they didn't recover after.
You know, well, there is no recovering after that.
Yeah,
there's
not.
Like, let's be honest. Like, at that point, it's like, all right, boys. Like, I'm going to dinner. You know what I mean? Like, let's get this over with. I'm getting out of here. But like I said, on the flip side, that potential is there. Like, that first game, that game 1 was nuts. You know what I mean? That game 1 was like, holy crap. Like, the casters, like, I'm gonna figure out how to say this in a nice way. The casters were a little overexcited. Space Station has finally arrived. Blah, blah. I was like, bro, they had to get a good Forbidden Flag game online. Like, it's not. And then, like, by game 4, the casters were like, we've never seen a meltdown of this. I was like, so which is it? Have they arrived or are they melting down? Like, are they the best team ever? Are they the worst team ever? Like, I need some consistency here, boys. But anyway, no, like, it was definitely a showing. It was definitely okay, like, cool. Like, this is one of the top 4 teams, right? Like,
they have it in them.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I felt like it was a 2-horse race, but now suddenly I'm feeling like somehow Shopify might be further ahead than I was thinking, but FaZe is in that mix, but also Space Station showed they can dominate Optic in some games. So I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I don't
know.
The other, just to give credit to Space Station too, like, I was convinced they were going to go into that Optic series and get 3-0'd because of how they looked against Luminosity. And I don't know whether to give credit to Luminosity or like, you know, shame on you, SSG, for how you played, because they look like, oh, it's Luminosity. Like, we don't have to play to that level that we need to play for Optic. We can kind of coast through this series. And LG was like, hold on a second. Like, we've got, you know, some things to prove here. It was a 3-1 in SSG's favor, but, like, I thought they were going to game 5.
Yeah, that series is teetering. Yeah, and it's in a series that should never be teetering, in my opinion. When you look at on paper, you look at it. Like, I mean, Luminosity have been playing amazing, and I'm super pumped for them and to watch them. But for Space Station, like, who in my heart and mind are the reigning champs, I need you to play like it. Which, by the way, chat voted that the belt has been vacated. So Nick, you can hold that.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
I'll submit that dub to you. The belt is up for grabs in Arlington. We don't have a reigning land champ.
And then Complexity's going to cash in Money in the Bank live at HCS Arlington.
I was going to say, is that belt only available for one of those two? Like, what happens if Shopify wins, or if we show up and show out, and like, what do we? How does that work? Is the belt available for anybody, Nick, or does it have to be one of those two teams?
No, I mean, I think those are the teams that you would consider the heavy favorites for sure. But I think there is, when the belt's vacated like it is right now, it's anybody's game. And like, yeah, Shopify is looking the best online right now, and all props to them. Like, they have a playstyle right now that works really, really well. But there are flaws. And when teams figure out how to play those flaws, we will see Shopify lose their glimmer that they have right now. Lose that untouchability that they seem to have right now. But right now, nobody's figured out how to do it, at least not yet. And I think it's going to be interesting, because I think that the time that we have between this last weekend and the Arlington Major, it's 3 weeks. A lot can change in 3 weeks. I mean, heck, look at our team in 1 week, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the next week. But sorry, to prove that I'm not biased, I have to throw the self jabs out there. But I think in that time, any team on this list can figure out that formula. I think any team on this list, I mean, Cloud9, right? Like, Cloud9 is clearly a team that you cannot sleep on. And I would say on paper, Shopify outguns them every day of the week. But I would have said that last year about Space Station, and Cloud9 should have sent them home as a top 12.
12, yeah.
In an event that Space Station went on to win.
Yeah.
So, like, it's anybody's game. It really is anybody's game.
It is anybody's game, but I think the pressure is different depending on the team. You know what I mean?
Optic has the most pressure for sure.
It's not even close, which like brings me to one of the final topics we wanted to tackle. We saw this week Lunchbox back in the mix. They went and brought the one of the greatest of all time back. Rumor was he was potentially going to be coaching FaZe, and they snatched him back. I don't know if that's true or not. That would be hilarious if it were the case. Like, he was going to sign there and was like, "No, I guess I'm going home." But they bring him back, and they get second again. Is the pressure on them yet, or do you think it really comes down to this first LAN, Nick, this Arlington situation?
I think the pressure's been on them from the beginning. Like, as soon as it became formal as building a super team to beat Space Station, and then we saw players leave Space Station to be part of this super team, the pressure was on them, because now it's like, okay, everybody in the community has been talking about for months, has been setting up this storyline for months of, this is going to be the premier team. Like, this is the modern day final boss, and they haven't been that. They showed a little bit of it one weekend, but I mean, 1 weekend out of 4, then you start to wonder, okay, was that a fluke?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Shopify, they're like, yeah, we're going to build around Cycle. He's our up-and-coming player. We got Lashot. He's another up-and-coming player. For some reason, nobody wanted Frosty and Royal 2, so we got them, losers.
Crazy.
And now look at us.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see if that continues on LAN. I know I'm beating the same drum here over and over again, but I do have a worry that there are things that they do online that won't work the same way on LAN, or will get punished a little bit more on LAN. But I think they do play with this aura of confidence that helps them in these matchups. And really, I mean, we looked at it in the bracket a little bit. We didn't talk about it, but the grand finals, Optic, won the first set to reset the bracket because they were coming from lower side, but then lost in the second set. And so I think that just shows a resiliency out of Shopify. Like, I think, did they get 3-0'd?
Yeah, they got 3-0 in the first set.
So they can get swept in the first set and shake it off and be like, okay, look, like we're fine. We're still better than these guys, and prove it. And I think it shows that Optic has a hunger to prove themselves, but just can't quite maintain it. Like, I don't know if they've fully found their groove yet.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a work in progress, putting together the chemistry and whatnot. I was watching some shorts this week, and I saw one about, it was actually Formal giving an interview talking about the squad, and he was saying basically last year with them getting second and whatnot, at a certain point the vibes were just chalked. Like,
yeah,
it was just like sour, and there was no coming back from that. And like no coming back from that still meant them getting second. You know what I mean? So my question is this: like, how long do you think they have on the ticking time bomb before things are sour there too? Like, do you think they have to win Arlington and win every event this year? Like they said, like they already come out and said, this is our goal. We're going to win every single event. Like, do they have to start? I mean, like if they lose, if they get second to Shopify and Arlington, do you think it's chalked for the year for Optic?
I think if they get second, it's going to plant a seed of doubt that might already be there from these opens. But I think these guys are experienced enough not to let online get to them that deeply. I think if they get second and lose in the grand finals in any kind of convincing fashion to Shopify, the seed is planted, and that's a problem, right? Because that seed is going to grow over time. We're going to have more online stuff. DreamHack is not that far after Arlington. So there is not really a whole lot of time to go back to the drawing board, be like, okay, what worked, what didn't work? How do we beat these guys? Because we can't. That being said, if they lose in some other kind of spectacular fashion at any other point in the tournament, if they get top 3, if they get top 4, if they get top 6 even, that's where I would be scared. Like, okay, like who's on the chopping block? Like, is Formal retire? Is he just like, never mind, I don't have another season in me? Or like, do they go, oh, okay, maybe one of those pieces that we let go of was actually more important than we realized? I don't know. I could see that being a conversation if you build the super team that's supposed to win every event and you get top 4 or top 6.
Yeah, we talked about pressure. They have the most pressure on them. It's funny because I feel like Space Station somehow have been able to like avoid that. They're just cruising. Like, I'm not gonna say they're necessarily under the radar, but the onus isn't necessarily on. Like, a lot of people are looking at Optic like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, how dare you drop Lucid? How dare you, do this or that? And it's like, for Space Station, I feel like they've like gained fans in a way. People feel like they got done dirty. Like, oh, you didn't even get a chance to defend your crown before people came and poached your players. You know what I mean? And I feel like they were already a huge crowd favorite, but it just seems like a different perception between those two teams. You know what I mean? As far as Shopify goes, I think people are just stoked. Like, the general consensus is people are just excited about watching this team play, and they got aura, dude. Like, if any out of all the top 4 teams, like, I think Shopify has just got that aura about them right now, and they got the fun personalities, and they've got the storyline, the vengeance storylines. It seems like that team kind of has it all. And the scene rooting for them. I
think it's exciting to see a new face in the crowd, right? And I think Shopify, they were obviously there. They were obviously attending every Sunday, but they weren't really in the conversation because it was always SSG and Optic first and second. And I think the community as a whole probably pretty excited to see a new face showing up on Sundays, a new face in the grand finals. I can speak firsthand that the Green Wall is a powerful ally and a fearsome enemy. They will support you until they're thinking you're the problem. And you can see that like with everything with Call of Duty, and I think that there's a lot of hype behind this Halo roster. We've already talked about that, so I don't want to rehash that too much, but there's so much at stake. And meanwhile, Space Station has been like quiet, right? Like, they did their announcement video, they did their photo shoot. Those photos were sick, by the way, with the gamer tags on the faces and the lights. Whoever did that, shout out to you.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been the same amount of hype. Nobody's been going, like, everybody knew this was roughly going to be the Space Station roster, but Space Station wasn't coming out with Eco going like, I'm going to build the team that's going to, continue our run from last year. Yeah. Like, I don't need those guys. We're going to do it again this year. Like, there just wasn't that. They weren't putting it out there. And when you put it out there and then you can't deliver, that's the problem. And that's where that's where the Green Wall starts to crumble. That's where you start hearing like, XYZ player needs to go, or this player is washed, or like any of the nonsense that a Twitch chat can spam. They did it to themselves. So the question is, did they answer the call that they, I guess they called themselves? Do they answer it?
Now, do you think that bringing Lunchbox back is going to have a big impact on that?
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. I've heard different bits about why, and I don't want to talk on it just because it's not my place, right? And I don't want to spread like misinformation.
Of course. course.
Tusk was with Complexity for a really long time, so I like him. I like, I had a good time working with him, even though I wasn't coaching, just managing at that time. I know that Tusk was really close friends with both Bound and Renegade, so I'm pretty sure that's like what led to him getting the role. And obviously he coached FaZe in season 1, so he has experience with it. I do think Lunchbox clearly has more experience in terms of, not only has he been around forever and had so much success on his own as a player, but as a coach with Optic last season and season 1, or whatever season they were world champions. I understand bringing him back. I'm not sure why, he got cut in the first place, and good on him, right? For like getting cut, if that's what he did, assuming that he didn't retire, and then coming back and be like, oh, y'all need me? All right, cool.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Not holding it over their heads or anything. Maybe he use that in contract negotiation. Who knows?
Well, that just speaks that he's an adult and he's got good business sense. Like any good business person will know, like, hey, even if I do get cut, hey, I know a little bit about this myself. Even if I do get cut, I'm not going to burn those bridges. I'm not going to wreck those relationships, because who knows when that's going to come back around again. And I want to make sure I'm in good standing for any, to be able to jump back in, you know what I mean? And it goes with like those of you guys watching at home that are building your teams, like try to maintain the relationships you have with their teammates, whether or not you're going to continue teaming or not, because you never know when it's going to come back around again. Your name gets thrown out there. And now because you have beef with this dude, it's going to be a no, you know what I mean? Whereas if you maintain your bridges, you'll always have an in back into the things that you love and are passionate about. And so to see Lunchbox come back, I'm sure he's stoked. I'm sure he's got enough going on in his life where it's like, if it wasn't going to happen, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I know having him back, and like for me at least, an amazing coach definitely moves the needle. And I don't think it's a stretch to say Lunchbox is an amazing coach. Just the way he views the game and stuff, I think he adds a lot. So it'll be interesting to see now. Now's the grind time to get all up to date with your basically brand new team. Box and how you're going to work and how you're going to build your relationships with these players and how you're going to work with them on their games. So I think that there's a lot of ground to make up, but I mean, they have just about a month to do so. So I'm sure they're hustling on it. Yeah,
I think I 100% agree. And maybe I'm biased because I am a coach, but I think a coach can take a good team and make them great, or a coach can, do nothing. Right. And I think Lunchbox is the kind of coach who will be able to take a really good foundation. Like, they've got the puzzle pieces there. I think anybody can agree to that. They just haven't found the right picture, the right order to put those pieces together. And I think he can help implement that if the players are willing to listen. If the players aren't willing to listen, it doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. The players are the players, right? And like what their actions are in game, you can only control so much. So I think that he should have earned the respect of everyone on the team. I fully expect them to buy into whatever system he puts into place. I expect that Optic will definitely grow between now and Arlington. Will it be enough to topple Shopify? Will it be enough to topple Nemesis? It's it remains to be seen. But I'm sad for Tusk, but I like the prospect of Lunchbox being back for sure.
Awesome. Well, that being said, I mean, we're well over the hour mark. Dude, the time just flies. We got so much to cover. Like, there's still so much I want to talk about, but I'm glad we have stuff to talk about. We got a couple of weeks before the next event, so we got to make sure we have our topics on point. But just want to give you guys a shout out again in the chat for tuning in, hanging out, watching, talking Halo with us. Nick and I are still brainstorming on who our first guest that we should bring on should be. So hey, if you guys have an idea for a guest, either tweet at us or message us in the chat. We got access. We can get anybody we want. We can get anybody on this show. But that being said, Nick, closing statements. Let the people know where they can find you.
Thank you all so much for watching. You can find me on Twitter at THYAshes, because I was an emo kid when I made that account and I thought it sounded cool. Hunter, where are they going to find you?
Hunter JJX on everything, TikTok, Twitch, live every day. Got a special stream for tomorrow, so you're going to want to tune into that one. Can't spoil it here just yet, so tune in for that.
Bright and early.
Bright and early, per usual. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter, doing the thing, posting clips, hanging out. But always repping complexity. You know what I'm saying? Hashtag we are cool. Guys, thank you guys so much for supporting the team and also supporting the show. Nick and I are having a blast making it, and we're hoping that you guys are also enjoying it as well. So we'll see you guys right here next week, opening break episode 4. So for episode 3, this is Hunter JJX and Ashes signing out. See you guys soon.
Bye, y'all.